so many of our meetings, we get to celebrate the rich diversity of Westchester County. This evening, Westchester County Board of Legislators celebrates Jewish History and Heritage Month. I would ask the Pledge of Allegiance at this point be led by Legislator Bernice Spreckman.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence, a moment of contemplative silence for our great country, its people, and those serving it around the world. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Very pleased this evening to have the invocation from Rabbi Jeffrey Brown, Scarsdale Synagogue, Temples, Tremont, and Emmanuel. Rabbi, thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks. O source of all life and blessing, wellspring of creation and impulse of all that is good, we gather tonight on this evening to offer up gratitude for the opportunity to be together in this space where democracy happens and for the patient wisdom of those who serve here. We give thanks as well for the chance to come together, regardless of our religious or ethnic backgrounds, to celebrate the rich and diverse heritage of the Jewish people and all the ways that our long history here in Westchester has been tied up with the strengthening and growth of this important region in our state. During this week in which we prepare for our observance of Memorial Day, we cannot help but pause and think as well of all those brave men and women who serve and who have served our country in uniform. May this Memorial Day bring the opportunity for thoughtful introspection as we reflect on the loss of so many courageous ones who gave their lives in order that we might be privileged to live here in freedom. In the Jewish tradition, this is a season of counting, of the ancient practice of the counting of the Omer, marking the days between Passover and the upcoming holiday of Shavuot. There's a particular way that Jews count during this time of year. Typically, when we approach a date we're looking forward to, we count down. 20 days left, 15, 10. Not so when it comes to the counting of the Omer. Tonight, for example, marks the beginning of the 35th day, and Jews in the area will continue to count upwards, marking the passage of time until Shavuot comes on the 50th day. The teaching implicit in this practice is a Jewish assertion of unbounded optimism, that we continually ascend to ever-increasing heights of blessing and abundance. Thus, even as we give thanks tonight for the important heritage and history that the Jewish people have brought to Westchester and the countless ways that the elected and appointed leadership of our county has reached out to work with our Jewish community in the decades that have passed, nonetheless, we count upwards with the shared faith that our future together will be even greater and be even more remarkable than the past that we've been able to build together. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi. So welcome to all our guests and our honorees, two very special honorees this evening. Welcome to the Board of Legislators' Jewish History and Heritage Month celebration. Yes, we've moved it from the fall to May, and may it stay in May as in respect of Jewish History and Heritage Month. Jewish people's contributions to our great nation span the disciplines of science, arts, the academics, public service, and industry, and so many more. I'd like to note that the very first chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, Herman Geist, is Jewish, was recently honored on a trip to the Czech Republic for his service there during World War II. I'm proud to follow Mr. Geist in the role of Board of Legislators Chairman. I thank him for his service to both this board and to our country. Growing up in New Rochelle, I benefited from a very rich and vibrant Jewish community that thrives in Westchester County. Rabbi BOL is here. Rabbi, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you, sir. We have a former colleague, Marty Rogowski, who is here, and he is, I guess, now president of a temple that we've had so many events in recently. I think I have to start paying the building dues fund at that temple in Harrison. But Marty's actually never really left us. His discussion and debate has been so valuable. that we're very pleased that he's here this evening. Our honorees tonight, two very special gentlemen, Dr. Joe Hankin, Dr. Joseph Hankin, who usually sits back there and comes to us with a budget, and has for so many years, 42 years, had been and is a recently retired president of the fantastic Westchester Community College. He was the longest-serving college president in America and did us proud each and every year. And as I like to say, we can debate almost anything in these chambers, but we never debated Dr. Hankin's role. We never questioned the quality of Westchester Community College, and we always memorialized that support and really that consensus with our unanimous vote in each and every year that was earned and well-deserved, Doctor, in no small measure because of your leadership on that college board, leading the college. We have Eugene Grant this evening. Eugene Grant is the president of Eugene M. Grant and Company. Mr. Grant might be joining us, and all. Hopefully he will. He's certainly here in spirit. He's a generous contributor to Jewish causes and culture, and these are excellent examples of the contributions and accomplishments that the Jewish people have made here in Westchester County. So we're going to hear about and from our two honorees, and it's always very, very pleasing to continue to have these wonderful history months. We thank you very much for joining us, and to our honorees, congratulations, and thank you for your service to our community. At this time, I would ask that Legislator David Gelfarb please come up for the purposes of a very well-earned proclamation to Dr. Joseph N. Hankin, President of Westchester Community College, Emeritus. Legislator.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am pleased and honored to present this proclamation on behalf of the Board of Legislators to Dr. Joseph Hankin, a man who exemplifies both Jewish and secular philanthropy and education. During his long and distinguished career, Dr. Hankin has served as president of Westchester Community College for 42 years, the longest-serving community college president in our nation. Under his leadership, the college became and has remained one of the finest community colleges in our country. For over 4 decades, Dr. Hankin was committed to ensuring quality, accessibility, affordability, and expansion at the college, which resulted in its tremendous growth and evolution as a leading educational institution. Soon after joining the legislature, Dr. Hankin invited my legislative aides and myself to lunch at the college with his staff. I was so impressed by the level of commitment and the passion that he brought to his work, and by how he inspired his staff to work tirelessly to improve the college and to serve its students. On top of that, it was an amazing honor that I could not only speak back to a teacher, but could speak back to the president of a college. His achievements over the past 4 decades are as notable as they are numerous. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences from the City College of New York, a Master of Arts in History from Columbia, and a Doctorate in Education in Administration of Higher Education from Teachers College. In recognition of his leadership in the field of education, he holds honorary doctoral degrees from Mercy College, the College of New Rochelle, and several other institutions of higher learning. After graduation, Dr. Hankin taught at the City University of New York from 1962 to 1965, and then joined Teachers College of Columbia University. In 1965, he began his administrative career at Hartford Community College, where he held a variety of positions until, at the tender age of 26, he became the president. At that time, he was the nation's youngest college president. He held that position for 4 years before being recruited to join Westchester Community College in 1971. Among his over 100 honors and awards is being named one of the top 50 community college leaders in our nation. He has also been named one of the 100 most effective college presidents in the country, a distinction he shared with the presidents of Harvard, Yale, and the University of Chicago. I have been particularly impressed by how the college has reached out to the community to offer classes and programs to those of us who are not of traditional college age. I look forward to receiving the college's catalog, and I am impressed by the wide variety of programs that are offered to members of the community. This includes both liberal arts classes in subjects such as Latin, as well as classes that are more oriented toward job and employment training, such as 3D animation. I recommend to all of you to study the catalog. I just received it in the mail a week or 2 ago. It has a tremendous array of classes, and people of all ages can benefit from the courses being offered at the college. Lastly, I would be remiss in not paying tribute to Dr. Hankin's wife, Dr. Carol Hankin. Carol, as you may know, is the superintendent of the Syosset School District, one of our state's finest school districts, for over 23 years. Thank you, Carol, for all of your support of Joe in his work on behalf of the college. I speak for all the residents of Westchester County when I say that we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Dr. Hankin for all that he has done to improve the educational opportunities for so many of Westchester's residents. On behalf of our legislature, I am proud to present this proclamation to Dr. Joseph Hankin. So therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators join with our chairman, Michael B. Kaplowitz, representing the 4th District, in recognizing and congratulating Dr. Joseph Hankin, and be it further resolved that May 20th, 2014 be proclaimed Dr. Joseph N. Hankin Day in Westchester County. Absolutely, now I sit.
Thank you very much. You notice they appoint you at the end of the day for that honor. Thomas Gray, the British poet, was sitting in a graveyard musing about the people who had once lived and now resided there. And he wrote, "Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark, unfathomed caves of ocean bear. Full many a flowers born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air." Now, you might think that a negative. There's unfound gems and flowers, but Albert Einstein once said that in every difficulty there's an opportunity. And whether you are a member of the county Board of Legislators or a voter who put them in office, whether you are a trustee of a group, whether an organization, or whether you're disorganized, the joint efforts of all make the Westchester Community College not just good, but great. So like the proverbial pebble dropped into the pond of life, the ripples of influence of what you do in support of the community college in Westchester County creates a win for all. It has been a privilege and an honor to serve, and I thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.
David, can't leave without your proclamation. Yep, Bernice, you want to come up and join us? Also, the doctor is aware, and those who were at the College Foundation dinner last week heard, but the Board of Trustees at Westchester Community College has renamed the Academic Arts Building the Dr. Joseph Hankin, Academic Arts Building at Westchester Community College. Congratulations, Doctor, for that. And to the doctor and to our wonderful next guest, you have a little card on your proclamation, and the card indicates that on your day tomorrow, for all to know, at the Westchester County Center, that electronic jumbotron that we have, all day long, for all to know, and 32,000 people go up and down the Bronx River Parkway every day, it will be showing Dr. Joseph Hankin Day in Westchester County. Hear, hear. Which, doctor, if you are driving and stopped by the county police, probably won't be of much help to you, but nonetheless will give you comfort in that circumstance for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would ask legislator Catherine Parker please come up for the purposes of the next presentation.
Good evening. Almost a year to the day, an article was published in the Journal News entitled, "Real Estate Titan 94 Ensures Holocaust is Never Forgotten." That title is describing Gene Grant. A successful businessman, Mr. Grant has given generously to many, many organizations and charities that ensures that mandate. As Chairman Emeritus of the Holocaust and Human Rights Education Center in White Plains, Gene and his lovely wife Emily donated the largest gift ever bestowed on the center, $250,000, to allow for a restoration of programs and lectures. Gene was quoted at the time as saying, "As the memory recedes, the consciousness recedes, and the emotionality recedes. But it is important to keep the memory alive so it never happens again." Mr. Grant has also served as campaign chair for UJA Federation of New York, life trustee of the Jewish Museum of New York, past president of the Jewish Week, past chairman of Jewish Outreach Institute, trustee of the Israel Tennis Centers, and benefactor for a Jewish Studies program at the University of Michigan. Gene Grant and Emily, you are an inspiration and Westchester is so fortunate to call you one of our own. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present you with a proclamation and to say thank you, because I can think of no one more deserving to be recognized in celebration of Jewish History Month and Heritage Month. And proclamation. So therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators join with Chairman Michael Kaplowitz, Legislator Catherine Parker, representing the 7th Legislative District, in recognizing and congratulating Eugene Grant. And your day, Mr. Grant, is going to be May 21st, where I hope that you get to the Westchester County Center so you too can see your name up in lights. Thank you.
You'll forgive the medical garb, but having been invited to speak here and will receive the this discussion group about philanthropy, and remembering that we are in the County Executive Office building, which is quite responsible for the creation of this rather hallowed ground at the foot of this building, namely the Garden of Remembrance, to the horrors, the memories, the lessons of the Holocaust. It took us about 20 years to put into place, with the deep cooperation of the county government, especially former county executive Andrew O'Rourke, now a judge. For me to participate in the creation of the garden was significantly an honor because I had served in World War II, and we were now, almost 50 years later, on October 4th, 1992, for the dedication of the garden. I suggest, if you want to kick in the emotional teeth, when you leave this building, go into the garden. It is an acre of memories of the enormity and of the horror, not only of World War II, but of the Holocaust, to a point where, first of all, you can't believe it took place by human beings. But beyond there, it was just a case of wanting to commemorate the physical locations of the 26 extermination camps spread through Germany, Poland, and the Balkans, and any number of other places that the Nazis could think of. But what I admire mostly about the garden is that it has never been vandalized. It is like a monument there, represented by the bronze gates of the Auschwitz death camp. I remember on October 4th, 92, we had 3,000 people in the streets outside, standing while the gates were being uncovered with their bed sheets that came from the foundry. And the people, when the gates were articulated by somebody standing by, as the covers of the bronze gates representing Auschwitz, as I say, when the covers were removed, the gates were swung slowly but firmly open. And as the gates opened, representing incarceration, dehumanization, and physical destruction in crematoria, it was as if there was a magnet pulling hundreds of the people who had come there seated with their children and their grandchildren, and many of them still alive despite the years since the end of World War II, as if there was a magnet. They seemed to be drawn. They had to go through those opening gates to the far side, which represented liberalization and freedom from the yoke of Nazism and murder and any horrible thing you can think of. I've never forgotten that scene. So here we are, years later, commemorating the memory of a horrible part of human history, but it has an educational value for our children and grandchildren, just to hope, as has been repeated many times before, that such an outrage, even though committed by fallible human beings, should never be repeated, even at the risk of more physical conflict. So that's my story about the creation of the Garden of Remembrance. I repeat, without County Executive Andrew O'Rourke and not only his sympathy, but his full support, that garden, which is not a museum, and it is only a garden of remembrance, fully landscaped and expressing the beauty of life, not death. So we are lucky to be sitting here, and I'm glad that I was able to get out of this, not a sick bed, but something like it, to be here. So that's what was one of the two things that drew me here. I understand from the proclamation that I was expected to comment on, in general, the subject of philanthropy, Jewish philanthropy, but not limited to Jewish philanthropy. Philanthropy is a fancy word for love of man. If you remember, the stem is from Greek language. So philanthropy means sharing, okay. But philanthropy is like a cooking recipe. People ask me, what's the secret to philanthropy? So I say, well, philanthropy is like a cooking recipe of two ingredients. One, you have to have some money. Can't be giving away very little. But philanthropy means that you're sharing some good amount of money. Okay, doesn't have to be a blockbuster amount, but a respectable amount of money to make the initiative, the enterprise, the effort worthwhile. But there's a second ingredient to this recipe, and that begins with a capital I. Not the ego of I, but the beginning of a word called inclination. Inclination to share that pot of money, not the big pot, but the pot of money that you want to give away. Inclination to share that with people whom you will never meet. You will never know. Won't know their telephone number, you won't know their address. You'll know them as a general group of people whom you have the inclination to share your pot of gold with, because of the good fortune that you have had in accumulating that pot of gold to give away. So those two ingredients of the cooking recipe of philanthropy, whether it is Jewish philanthropy or any sort of other philanthropy, if it's Lithuanian philanthropy, I don't care. You have to have an inclination to share it and be happy about it. I know that over the years, when I was learning from some role models in the real estate business, the benefits of giving, which means the multiple return you get on your investment in your inclination. That made it all the more worthwhile. So I commend to you, if you have the opportunity, to find some kind of a charitable entity, 501c3, presumably, and even sometimes without a 501c3, do it. Grab a hold of the opportunity. It is a golden of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. David is here. Is David Delphi? Thank you. Oh, that'd be great. We do, yeah. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Grant, if philanthropy is a recipe, then you are the master chef. Thank you. And the ingredients you bring, if we had any say over Webster's, we would change the picture in philanthropy to yours. But you will have to just abide by our proclamation and our best wishes, and do enjoy your day. And hopefully somebody can come and take that as well. So the theme of tonight, philanthropy and education, very well represented in both our fantastic honorees. At this time, to honor the Westchester Jewish Council, to thank the Westchester Jewish Council, our Majority Leader, Legislator Catherine Borgia, please.
So it's really my pleasure to be here to honor and to thank Westchester Jewish Council, because since I've been an elected official the past 10 years, I have to say that every issue that I have been interested in has connected me up to an organization associated with the Westchester Jewish Council, from energy conservation, service to our seniors, intergenerational education, how community groups can work better together. Basically, all of my work has brought me in contact with some of the one organization or another associated with WJC. So I want to say I was really pleased to be able to thank and honor you tonight. When I was looking at the origins of the Westchester Jewish Council, I was really surprised to hear that there's 150,000 people of Jewish people here in Westchester County, and it's the 8th largest Jewish community in the United States, considering that we're, not a huge county. I thought that was pretty interesting. 150 member organizations, which of course explains why you fingers in so many good services, and also 60 synagogues, 80 Jewish organizations. So the web that the Westchester Jewish Council has spread over our communities is really very vast and interconnected. The things that I admire the most about WJC, though, are this idea that people are coming together to create a community. It's a community that binds the Jewish community together, but it's also a community that outreaches to all of the other groups in Westchester County. Elected officials, you're so good at keeping us informed on things. I've been to so many wonderful educational programs sponsored by WJC or one of your member organizations. Outreach and focus on things going on in the state of Israel, where I have learned a tremendous amount, and I hope that someday Westchester can be as exemplary a model of how to use energy efficiency as the state of Israel is. They are really, for those of us concerned about environmental issues, we've got a lot to learn from Israel and how they use their resources so wisely. Cultivating relationships between ethnic groups. We have this notion that we're a post-racial society where these differences don't matter as much as they used to, but we know that that the reason that you have a community that is filled with love of man, love of community, is because of those very conscious and very overt connections that get made between people consciously to understand each other better, to work better together, to make a greater amount of good for all the people in our community. And I think the idea of having an organization that helps all of our good service organizations that work on specific causes in their little circle to expand that connection, to work better together, to use their resources more wisely. That's a really good example of how we should all work in society. So I really am delighted. I don't think we have a proclamation for this organization, do we? No. No. So we're just here to thank you for all the work that you do for us here in Westchester community, all of the residents of Westchester community, and to pay tribute to you as we celebrate Jewish History and Heritage Month. Thank you very much.
To honor, we would truly need 150 plus proclamations, I think, with the members.
And on behalf of the Westchester Jewish Council and the entire Jewish community of Westchester, thank you very much. This is a day we're very proud of and a month that means a lot to us, and certainly the support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to Elliot and Deborah and Karen and all of our fine friends at the Westchester Jewish Council. Thank you on a personal note to David Alpert, who personally has been a friend and a mentor to me and to many of us in this room, and helped us greatly, certainly in terms of trying to put this evening together. Thanks to Matt Richter, thanks to Sarah Giargiulo, and thanks to Diana Walker for helping to put together the program. And we actually had a little bit of a tweet coming that has changed our proclivity this evening. We do have found and we do have produced a proclamation, have we not? There you go. So we were just saving the best for last, as it turns out. What would an evening be without a proclamation? So the day for WJC is May 22nd. May 22nd, all right. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much. And make sure you take on one of the programs because we have a great biography of Mr. Grant and Dr. Hankin for all to have forevermore. Again, to our honorees, thank you. Westchester Jewish Council, thank you. And we're going to take a small break at this time. Thank you all very much.